Hey, welcome to Mike's Trains, and thanks for joining me for another video. The last time we talked, I had started working on the lower level for this train station. So before I go on to what I'm going to work on this time, let me show you how that turned out. This is the lower level. I've painted it and weathered it. The windows are in and weathered as well. I think it looks pretty good. I think we're good with this. But this is going to take, I have some ideas for how I want to mount this, and I'm going to attack that side of it in another video. But for the time being, this is all set and we're all done with it. But before I get that mounted underneath this roadway, underneath the train station, I have to finish the top side of this whole thing. So this is the sidewalk section that I made earlier, and of course minus the train station. Now I have a lot of marks inside of here. These are going to pertain to the mounting of the lower floor to this, and how I'm going to mount that. I'll get into those later on. But what I want to talk about, what I'm going to do now, is I want to stripe the rest of the road. You can see I striped all of this areas here, double striped, and I painted those with my airbrush, and I'm going to show you how I did that, because I still need to stripe this parking lot area, and I've already drawn it out, so this all looks pretty good. I think we're going to go with it. I set some cars in there just so I can kind of judge to see if it actually looks right, but I think it looks pretty good. I'm okay with it, and we're going to go with it. So let's take off all of this stuff, and then we can get on to see how I got to this point. So here's what I did. Get the cars out of here. So what I did was I traced out the curb that goes right up here, and you can see my lines right here. So I know where this sidewalk is going to be. I also traced out the outside lines here for the sidewalk that goes around the train station on this side, so I know how much space I have here. When I cut this out, when I made the length for this and the length for this, I made it so that it's a little wider than a two-lane road. So when you look at it, so this two-lane road over here is, well, I did it in scale feet, so each lane is 12 feet, so it's 24 feet wide, but it's about an inch and a little under an inch and 3/4. This lane here is almost 2 inches wide, this lane right here, and of course this is where the curb goes, so this is a little over 2 inches, so it's wider than the two-lane road here. So that, because here's the thing, this back here, this lane here is where the buses will be, and buses, as we all know, need more room to maneuver around than cars do. So if this is only buses, they need that extra space to maneuver in and out of this area. So I made this wider, and now the spaces themselves, I did them, and I kind of measured, I took the cars and I kind of measured the length of them, and I came up with an approximate. So they're about, well, they're about 1 3/8 long, point to point. You know, and that's a car is, this is a longer of the car, is about the same. Maybe a little bit less than 1 3/8, maybe 5/16. Yeah, it's about 5/16. So it's about a 1/16 longer than the car. So when you put it in here to the space, it comes out pretty close to what I need to be, and I'm okay with that. Width-wise, I did them for 8 scale feet, and that's 5/16 of an inch wide, give or take. You know, it could be a little more, a little less. On my ruler here, it's 5/16. So that's what I did, and I have a bunch of head-in spaces here. These are drive-through spaces, and then I have another row of spaces over here. These rows here and this one here are the same width as these parking spaces. So those again, so we're an 1 3/8, so this roadway here is an 1 3/8 in between, and that's enough room for, if a car is coming this way, there's enough room for another car to pass. They're close together, but it is a parking lot, so you know it's gonna happen, and that's the way I'm gonna do it. So that's how I came up with this configuration right here. So now the thing is going to be to tape all this off so that I can airbrush the whole thing out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to start. I'm not going to do it on video because it's kind of boring to watch me tape it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut an 1 3/8 wide piece of tape, and I'm going to run a length that goes from over into this area here, this area past the sidewalk, and I'm going to run it straight across, and that's going to tape off the aisleway, and I'm going to run another one here, and then I'm going to run one going this way, so that just leaves this parking area. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a whole bunch of small pieces the size of each of the parking spaces, and I'm going to space them. Now these lines over here, these lines, now I started using the millimeters instead of inches because it just ended up being easier, but they are 2 millimeters wide, which is it's a little less than 1/16 of an inch. And the width on these lines, I like it. I'm happy with it, and I'm going to continue it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to tape all this off, and I'll come back after I tape it off, and then I'm also want to tape off back down the back side of this. Okay, so we have an 1¼ inch here. So what I'd like to have, I have a bus downstairs, I didn't bring it up, but I'd like to have a bus lane right along the side here, right along the side, right against the curb, and then that would be a parked bus lane, and then we'll have a drive-by lane for cars, you know, other buses to get by, or maybe the occasional taxi or whatever can get through there. But I want to white line off this same lane here, and then I'm thinking I might want to do some angled stripes this way through this whole thing, and then we'll with signs on the sidewalk, we'll label that all off. The other thing I wanted to show you was on the sidewalk here, you can see I've got yellow on here. This is for the handicap access. I filed down all of these areas, so they actually drop down, and if you look at the edge here, you can kind of see where it's much thinner here than it is over here. And then I went through and I also lined this curb in this area because that's going to be like a drop-off area for the train station. And then I also lined on the back side the whole length of this curb from right before the corner to right here to the same spot back here. So I don't know if that's coming off on camera or not. I can't really. Let's see if I can bring that in. My lighting isn't real great tonight, so let's see. Here we go. So I guess that kind of shows. So that's the yeah, there you go. So that's the yellow lines I did on the sidewalk, and then of course, like I said, the handicap access goes here and here. And this sidewalk isn't going to stay like this. This still needs to be weathered, so it looks like it's walked on and used. This would be like a brand new sidewalk that's never had anybody walk on it, and obviously this is not what we have. So this has to get weathered as well. But I got to take care of all these stripings here, and then this can get mounted right to the board permanently. But again, we have to line all this before we can mount it, so I don't have to worry about getting paint on the sidewalk and all that stuff. So let me go down, let me shut this down. I'm gonna go tape all this, and I'll give you a look to see what it looks like after it's taped, And then I'm going to run down and we're going to spray all these white lines on here. And then we can mount the sidewalk, this piece and this piece over here. We can get this piece in and this whole round sidewalk around the train station. So let's start with the taping, and I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so here we are. It's all taped up. You can kind of see the lines in there. I don't know how well they show, but they're there. We have the center line that went down between the split spaces. The road is taped. All these lines are in. I did another set of lines down here. Now the only thing that I'm kind of sad about is that I'm a little bit off on my measurements for the width of this. There's not enough room for 2 buses to pass. So this is going to have to end up being a one-way in and out. You know, traffic flow this way. But aside from that, that's pretty good. I think I'm happy with it. Now we're going to take this downstairs. I'm going to take it down. I'm going to go mist it with some white, and then we'll pull the tape, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so there we go. You saw it all taped up. I sprayed it, and then I pulled off the tape, and this is what we're ending up with. I think the results are pretty good. So now the next thing to do is going to be to mount this sidewalk down permanently in its resting place, and this sidewalk over here. And then after that, I want to go back through. Actually, before I do that, I also want to weather the road lanes here, the traffic lanes. So when you're looking on the road, I want to have I got to darken up the center of each of these lanes, the travel lanes, and I want to do that without the sidewalks in place. And all I'm going to do that is I've already taken a measurement of between the wheels on these cars. All right, and off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but well, we can look on the ruler here. I believe I have it marked as, yeah, it's 5 millimeters. So all I'm going to do with this is cut a piece of tape at 5 millimeters and run it right down the right down the center of each of these lanes. And then I'm going to take a lighter color. I'm going to take this same road color, which is concrete, and I'm going to just mist over the whole road, so it'll lighten up the areas that are not taped. Okay, and then when I pull off the tape, I'll mist it one more time to blend in the hard edges from the tape, and then that'll give you that wear line in the road for the traffic lines. So that's what we're looking to do there. And then once that's all done, and I'm all done airbrushing, and then I want to go into weathering. I want to put some oil spots in the parking lot. I'm probably going to do some traffic lines through here as well. And we didn't finish an end over here because we're going to assume that the parking lot continues off the layout. This is lined with the edge of the layout, so we're not going to worry about that, but we're going to continue the traffic lines down these roads as well, and we'll throw some oil spots in the parking spots. And that's going to be it for this. Then we can mount the sidewalks, and we'll get into getting this lower level mounted underneath. We're gonna get this mounted underneath for the lower level of the train station. And that's pretty much the whole thing for this part of the video. I think we're looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with all of that. I like how the lines, I sort of purposely did it, and I didn't fill in the lines completely. You can see some of them are faded here, and some of the other ones are a little faded down and just dirtier than some of the others. You know, that's purposely, because I can't remember the last time I went to a parking lot that's been down for any amount of time and the lines are perfectly white all over the place. and then I'll further take down some of these other colors a little bit more and fade them down in just a touch more. But that's it for this week, everybody. Thanks for watching. I don't think I'm going to be putting up a video for the next 2 weeks. I'm going on vacation, not going to be in the state. I'm going away and going to have a good time and enjoy myself with my family. So I'll see you in a couple weeks. In the meantime, you know, as always, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Love to have new subscribers all the time. So that's going to be it for this video. Until next time, happy modeling.